Hey, welcome to another Resound Whiteboard video. I'm Eric, this is Chris, and in case you haven't joined us before, here's how the whiteboard videos work. I give him minimal prep on this. I'm going to talk about a topic that we blogged about or talked about or something that's near and dear to our heart as Resounders, and Chris is going to sort of whiteboard it on the fly. Then we get to see what he comes up with and how he interprets all this stuff. So, it's a little bit of gaming. You ready, Chris?
I'm ready.
All right, today's topic, I gave him prep on this, how to fail at a rebrand. So today we're going to cover three main things of how you can fail at a rebrand. And this is specifically geared to those of you who are maybe marketing director levels, maybe you're a small, medium-sized business, and hey, maybe you're even somebody who just landed that gig and you're looking to make a splash. So you got to an organization and you thought, seems a little old, seems a little tired, sales are kind of slumping a little bit, and it's not for lack of effort. There might be something that is a brand problem here. You've identified you need to do the rebrand. So, here's how to fail at it. And by nature, that means if you do the opposite, you'll succeed. But first of all, let's talk about how to fail. Number one, having your leadership team become spectators. Having your leadership team become spectators. Now, what does that mean? If you as the marketing director have gotten buy-in from, let's say, C-suite, right? And they're all like, yeah, rebranding sounds good, you go ahead and own that. The worst thing you can do is take that order or that delegation and then isolate the rest of that leadership team from the process of rebranding. You've heard probably of the term siloing, right? In corporate organizations, the idea that in this silo is the marketing department, and in this silo over here is the sales department, and over here is HR and ops, and over here is executives and all that kind of stuff. And we know that siloing is a bad thing, but it's human nature. If you silo in a rebrand, you're going to have problems. So here's another way to think about it. Instead of the silo, think about it like the spider web, all right? So all these little strands, let's just say they signify different departments. And in your department, all the good energy and all the mojo and all that stuff about this rebrand and all those discussions have happened over here on this part of the web. Well, that excitement should resonate out and kind of vibrate the rest of the web so that it gets the attention of the rest of the groups or the department heads or the leaders. They should all know that this is going on and they should all have a voice at the table. Now, that doesn't mean too many cooks in the kitchen, but they should at least all be aware and engaged at some level. If you silo it and exclude the leadership team, it's a kiss of death for a rebrand. So that's one way to fail. Let's see. Oh, Chris has got a nice spider web. He's got some silos. He's got the happy face spectator up there, very nice. You even got a little spider. And I'm guessing that's going to be a fly.
That's a fly, man.
All right, there we go.
Poor guy.
So as he finishes that up, that is the number one way to fail. Number two way to fail. Recruit the wrong team. Recruiting the wrong team, number two way to fail at a rebrand. Now this one has a couple moving pieces to it. All right. The first thing is that if there are unclear assignments, that is part of having the wrong team. And here's what I mean. You as a marketing director know when you go into a meeting, you know who your note takers are. You might be one of them. You might have other people that are rabid note takers. That does not mean that they are also the doers of the things that are documented in the notes. You can't assume that assignments are going to be clear based on who's taking notes in a meeting. It's going to be up to you to come out of that meeting, and if you're not one that takes notes, sync with your note taker, make sure you have all the actionable steps, and then assign those out very clearly to either your team or to a vendor or to other people in the organization if you need them to own some stuff. But having unclear assignments is one way or a contributing factor to having the wrong team on board. The other thing for having a wrong team is bringing on an inexperienced designer. Now, I'm specifically talking about the visual side of your brand here, but an inexperienced designer is not a good thing. A rebrand is not where you want somebody to sort of hone their design chops. They should already have a really good feel for design. They should have done a lot of rebranding work for organizations that are equal to or larger than your organization. And so I'm going to put this in context of like the CEO's nephew. Some of you may resonate with this or relate to it. Let's just say, and we'll pick on the CEOs because, you know, they're CEOs and that's what happens. They have thick skin. I'm not worried about it. If the CEO's nephew just graduated from design school and goes, hey, you said we're doing a rebrand, so why don't you hire my nephew? He's awesome, just graduated and he's cheap. On the surface, that may make sense. Rationally, it could make sense. I'm going to caution you to push back on that request or to ask for more information, such as how many visual rebrands has he done? How many logos has he developed from scratch? How has he tied those visual elements into, or how have they been informed by verbal guidelines and core values and personality traits, and how is that showing through in visual design and all those things? Because my guess is, even if the CEO's nephew is skilled, that depth of thought is not there yet. The third part of having the wrong team is internalizing too much work. Now, it is very tempting to take on a rebrand, you know, inside your own team and your marketing team. But let's be honest, your marketing team has stuff they're already doing. If you add a rebrand to their plate, now they may take it and smile and say, yeah, we can handle that. But know that you're going to sacrifice something for them to take on that rebrand. Whatever marketing efforts you're currently doing are going to suffer. The momentum you're building for the sales team to generate leads is going to suffer. So, even though it's tempting to internalize work, strategically it may not be the right choice. So another thing you have to think about is cost. It may seem that it's cheaper to own the rebrand internally, but what you may not know is that even if you're paying $20 an hour for a coordinator to do something, if that person's not familiar with how to execute a rebrand, let's say it takes them 100 hours to do something. Well, okay, that's not very efficient and it's adding to workload they already have. If you have an outside agency, especially one that's an expert in this and has done it many times, your hourly cost might be higher, but they're going to be able to execute more efficiently. And let's be honest, you're going to probably get a better product. It's absolutely possible that you could get something amazing from an internal team, but that's the reason that certain businesses exist in a very narrow lane. It's because they're very good at that one thing. So don't fall into the temptation of just owning everything internally. That is the third piece to having the wrong team execute your rebrand. So let's see over here, Chris.
Wait.
Oh,
what is the third thing?
The third thing I'm getting to, hey, it's right there on my notes. DIY.
Managing your own.
DIY. Yeah. Let me see. For number 2, though, then we got the house, internalize too much work, having inexperienced design, unclear brief or unclear assignments.
Yep.
It's all about the wrong team. And the CEO's nephew, little freckle-faced kid, loves Comic Sans. Just loves it.
Absolutely.
All right, number 3, way to fail at a rebrand is DIYing it. And oh my goodness. I know that it's tempting these days to DIY everything. I DIY like replacing a toilet, even though I have no business replacing the toilet. I will not tell you whether or not I was successful at it, but needless to say, I could find a video on YouTube about it. And yes, you can find lots of great tools, resources, and education online. However, if you want to operate at a higher level of professionalism in your business, you need to engage an outside entity for something like a rebrand. It is not as simple as slapping a nice logo on your website and being like, we're good. There's so much more to it. So, DIY, number 3, it's short and sweet, but this is a way to fail, is to try to do it yourself. We have worked with clients who have tried to do this, and there have been, in some ways, they have been successful in laying the groundwork for a rebrand, but in terms of executing it, that's where it gets really hard. And then, on top of that, it's getting that, hey, we've got to communicate to the world that we've done this because we're excited about it. Well, who's coming up with that plan? Right? When have you had time to develop that? So if you engage an outside entity, it gives you a chance to making up words, gives you an opportunity to strategize the next steps while your vendor or partner is working on the actual rebrand itself. So 3 ways, in summary, to kill your rebrand or fail at your rebrand. Number one is having your leadership be spectators in the process. Number two, having the wrong team on board as part of your rebrand. And number three, trying to D.I.Y it. Chris is writing something here. Managing principles and thinking of everything. That's your job as a marketing director, right? Use your vendors, use your partners, use the people you're connected with in your networks strategically, and it'll allow you to think forward about what's next. So those are our 3 ways to fail. Obviously, 3 ways to succeed. Get everybody involved, hire the right team, and don't try to do it all yourself. Short, sweet, and simple. We'll see you on our next whiteboard. Peace.